Welcome back to the Global Goals Studio, where we're talking about this essential need for the private sector to live up to their words on racial justice. James Rhee, do you think it's enough for business leaders to have these courageous conversations about race, to start the process? How quickly do we need to see these next steps?
I think the operative word is the conversations and the talking. I think that there needs to be more action. I think people get debilitated in thinking that there's some grandiose one button thing that you can do. But I think we all know that change takes place with very accumulation of tiny, tiny steps. And then there's a tipping point. I'm worried about a lot of the paradigms of leadership that we've seen in the world over the past several years. For me, one of the reasons why it worked so well with the ladies of Ashley Stewart, I admired how she led in her community. There was a different paradigm of leadership, a leadership from behind. And it was a leadership that I learned from my mother, actually. So, I can sit here and talk about, different ways to measure intangibles and systems, but just to make a very clear point about just how I like to read Einstein during times like this, because he talked about the wisdom of children, about how simple things are. People ask me, how did you do it? You had no money, you had no Wi-Fi, you were underfunded, you were fighting every systemic thing you could possibly fight against. What was it? And I tell people that I knew that it was going to be successful, that about a year and a half into it, my father died. And I didn't tell anyone my father died because the company was still, I wasn't sure it was going to make it. My daughter was in Children's Hospital. So I'm sitting there at the wake alone with my dad's friends. And the women of Ashley Stewart from the stores, they came and they found out about my dad's wake. And they looked at me and they said, you didn't think we'd be here for you? Mm. So people ask, how did that happen? It was many actions every day, thousands of them for 18 to 24 straight months. They weren't words and numbers. Yeah, we had them, but it was action and small ones. And that's what I would encourage the leaders of today, is just address it like that.
Yeah, John Rice, last word for you, just picking that up about the power of action, even whether they're small or large. If you could give a private sector leader listening to this conversation today an idea of a practical solution for inclusion to follow through on these commitments they've made, at least verbally, about racial justice, what's that practical solution? What's that action you would want them to take?
Well, I'd first say what they need to do, Richard, is actually approach this journey, around racial equity with the same level of rigor that they approach every other part of their business. Focus on a rigorous diagnosis of the problem. Define what success looks like in 3 to 5 years. Prioritize the levers that you're going to invest in. Have an organizational approach where you hold folks accountable. No more random acts of diversity, and no more let's do better than last year level of rigor in our approach. Giving money is really important and helpful externally, but it's not a strategy in itself. So one thing that I'd say, a practical approach, and I can speak specifically this because it's an initiative that my organization is involved in, which is that we developed with the Boston Consulting Group and many other organizations, is really an initiative called Black Equity at Work, and which is really establishing a comprehensive standard for racially equitable employer practices akin to the LEED standard in environmental sustainability. So it's essentially building toward a comprehensive framework for racial equity, and that cuts across people, purchasing, and philanthropy, and developing a rigorous approach to getting there that's not focused on where you are now, but it's focused on providing a certification and an approval for a rigorous plan and for making progress over the next few years against that plan. And that's something that everybody can do. Every organization can step up, sending a strong, concrete message to their staff and to their external partners, and being part of a group that of 20 plus leading companies now in just in the first few months that cut across all major industries that are committing to a comprehensive approach going forward. Organizations like Amazon and Workday, and in the media world, CBS Viacom, and Warner Media, and in the finance world, Bain Capital and PNC Bank and Moody. So be part of a cohort that's going to lead on these issues and work together and take a comprehensive approach. I think that's one thing that organizations can do. That's putting the actions behind the words.
That's a great note to end it on. Sadly, we could continue talking about this all day, but sadly we have to leave it there. My great thanks to John Rice, James Reed, David Olusoga, and June Sarpong. Thank you so much. We'll be right back after this break. You're watching the Global Goals Studio.